Learning is such a vital key to improve our mindsets and improve our mental well being. And the reason how learning can significantly improve our mental health, especially, is because the more we acquire new information, the more we discover, hey, how can I reach my next step? How can I navigate these seasons? How can I discover meaning within my story? How can I discover strength when all I feel is weak? When you acquire new information, and not just any information, when you acquire information in terms of learning from other individuals, mentors, coaches, teachers, who are not only familiar with what it is you are going through, but has experience navigating these seasons, has experience in overcoming those seasons. Those are the people you want to seek information from. Those are the people you want to seek guidance from, because those individuals are not only familiar with the path, because what I learned is almost anyone can be familiar with what it is you're going through. You're feeling depressed? Trust me, there's a lot of people out there that can say, hey, I know how you feel. But do they know how to overcome it? Are they feeling better? Are they trying to get better? Because what I learned is when you surround yourself with more like-minded individuals, when you yourself are not doing okay, you are doing yourself a disservice to overcome and get through what it is you're going through, how you are feeling. When you surround yourself with like-minded individuals who feel just like you are, depressed, anxious, worried, frustrated, angry, filled with hatred. When you surround yourself with shadows, it makes it very difficult to understand where the light is coming from, so it can point you in the right direction. When that shadow is in front of you, it's because you are headed towards the wrong destination, the wrong area. You are on the wrong course. When the shadows are behind you, that means you faced your shadows. You overcame it, you've gone through it. Because in order to have a shadow behind you, what does that mean? It means you're seeking and acquiring information from the light in front of you. In order for a shadow to be behind you, the light must be coming from forward, from in front of you. To put it simply, you should seek guidance from those individuals who are not only feeling the way you are feeling, but share their story, how they overcame it, what they did, what they learned. Those are the people you should seek information from. Let me give you a quick backstory of mine. If you are unfamiliar with me, a quick, brief synopsis is I was on a psychiatric hold. I was going through a lot with my disability, life with SMA, going through a lot within my home life. I had a medical procedure that gone wrong, and it unfortunately didn't turn out so well, and it led me on a dark path. It led me to a breaking point. And during this process, I was on a psychiatric hold. The psychiatric hold essentially means you have no rights. Anything you do or say, you are now under the state's control. You think you have laws, those laws do not pertain to you anymore. The state has full control over you. They govern over you. And as I was navigating this process, the season I was going through was an ugly experience, very traumatic. And as I'm navigating this experience, I was highly recommended to go to a therapy group. And I went to this therapy group, and I was open to the idea to me trying to get better, me trying to feel better. I didn't like how I was feeling. I didn't like what I caused. The wounds I had opened, I had done. And by wounds, metaphorically, I want to be transparent as possible, especially in the context of this video. And as I was navigating this process, I was highly recommended by my psychiatrist to go to a therapy group, surrounding myself with other people who are like-minded. I give it a shot. Okay, I didn't know about the like-mindedness. I just knew about a therapy group. And under my interpretation, it was supposed to be a one-on-one. Okay, but I attended. I went to my appointment, and I went. I'm in this therapy group, and you're in a circle with like other people, roughly around 10 to 15 people. I'm leaning more towards 15 individuals, and I'm the only one in a wheelchair. Not that that matters, and or makes a difference. And I'm in there, and there's the I don't know what her name was or her position or title. I don't know if she was a psychiatrist, a psychologist, or what. But I'm gonna just say the captain of the group. I'll say that. And then she's asking around. She's like, "Hey, introduce yourself. Introduce yourself." Everyone introduces themselves, so you feel more a little bit comfortable. Then she's asking, "Okay, would anyone like to share anything about what's been going on? How you been feeling?" Okay, I'm quiet. It's my first time. I'm not comfortable. I'm getting a feel of the room. Someone ends up, another girl in the group session talks about, well, I've been feeling this way. I haven't had any thoughts of XYZ. I don't want to say the word in here because I don't know if due to YouTube policies, but I haven't thought about not waking up tomorrow. Read between the lines there. And as I'm in here, and when I'm hearing these things, it's not just her, it's like some other people as well, like-minded individuals. They're depressed, they're anxious, they're frustrated, they're filled with anger, right? Which is understandable. Life will do that to you. And as I'm in this group, then I'm sitting there just thinking to myself, like, if I wasn't in this chair, I would have walked out, or I would have opened the door myself, and I would have just walked out. But I'm in this chair, the door's closed, and sure, I could have asked, "Hey, do you mind opening the door for me? I need to go outside." I could have done that, but it would have just been even more awkward and than how I was already feeling. So I just sat there, and I'm in this therapy group, and I'm doing it, and I'm just navigating through it. I'm enduring the process, to say the least. And after I got to the end of it, I go out, and my psychiatrist has approached me. Psychiatrist was out there at the time, and she was like, "Hey, how did it go?" I was like, "Oh, it went well." Okay, brush it off, let it go. Then my mom asked me the same thing. "Hey, how did it go?" And then I waited until we were outside the facility, and then our clinic facility. Then when I got into the van and we're sitting in the van and I know we're alone, then I was like, "I'm not coming back here no more." And she was like, "Why not?" Well, first off, that wasn't her response. I was like, "Why not?" And then she was like, and then she had this facial expression of stress, well, and it's understandable, in the moments, I didn't quite understand it too much, but, reflecting on it, from an empathetic point of view and trying to see her point of view was what I caused and what she's saying was ugly. So to have a medical professional say, "Hey, I think this is best," and then when your son tells you, "Hey, I'm not doing this no more," it definitely can create a negative response, right? So I emphasize with her response. I reflected on the moment, but so anyhow, so I was like, "I'm not coming here no more," and her facial expression was just like, "Oh my God, like really, like you're not gonna try," and it was like that kind of facial expression, which again I understand. And then she stopped, and then I was like, I forgot what I said after, but then she began to listen. And I was like, "I don't want to come back here no more because of the discussion that was happening within the room." And then her tone, her attitude switched. She emphasized with me. She began to understand. And she was like, "Oh no," she was like, we're not doing that." And then she began to be on the same page with me. She began to understand my point of view. And what I learned navigating this process is you cannot surround yourself with like-minded individuals when you yourself are not doing too well. When you yourself are not doing too well, when you yourself are depressed, anxious, angry, flustered, filled with hatred even. Maybe you're angry with life. What I learned is you need to acquire and seek new information from someone who is not only familiar with your path, but has overcame it. Because it is so, there's two different meanings. When someone says, "Hey, I understand how you feel." Okay, you understand how I feel. Okay. But then you have to ask yourself, did they overcome it? Or are they still experiencing the same thoughts? Are they still experiencing the same attitude? What is their lifestyle like? How is their behavior? Is how they are living, how they think? Is that the way? Is their mindset, their way of doing things, their way of living, something you want to adopt? You want to replicate? You want to try to become not so much like them, but begin to incorporate how they move, their mannerism, their character. Is that something you want to replicate into your own life? And I learned that you need to acquire new information from those individuals who have overcame it, who is not only familiar with your path, but has overcame it, gone through it, is living much healthier, where they can reflect from their story and they have healed from it. Those are the people you should seek guidance from. Try to find them as a mentor. What I began doing, you may be asking yourself or wondering, is I began reading books. I began reading books from individuals who have lived a hard life. David Goggins, I personally wanted not a weak mindset in terms of, sugarcoating things. No, I wanted the hard truth. Tell me what I'm doing wrong. Hit me with the truth. And I read David Goggins' book, Can't Hurt Me. One of the most powerful books I ever read. A crazy, phenomenal story. Remarkable story. I began acquiring information from other individuals who have overcame their path. I read a book from Grant Cardone. One of my favorite books I read. Excuse me. One of my favorite books that I read. I try to read like twice a year. So far, I've been on track to that. I read it towards the beginning of the year, and then I read it again towards the end of the year. I apologize. I woke up slightly congested today. And this book is called The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday. Excuse me. By Ryan Holiday. One phenomenal book with such attainable information that we can begin to incorporate within our daily life. It talks about the difficulties of life, how to navigate adversities. Literally, by far, hands down, my favorite book. And then I began to create my own personal blog on my website, Victortheinspiration.com. And I had a lot more blog posts compared to now at the time this video will be uploaded. But I'm working on something different, so I took it down. But there's still valuable information within my website. And I began talking about and journaling my thoughts, but in a blog post. I began to make it public. And what I learned from this is when I get to, it became like an outlet. It became a way for me to express myself. And as I was navigating this journey, the thing I discovered is it significantly helped me understand even more about myself, understand more about my path. Because as you think things, sometimes when you let it out, express yourself, not in your reckless and careless way, but you express yourself creatively, it has such a profound meaning for you. And thirdly, something I started doing is I started to seek guidance from mentors on YouTube. People such as, again, David Goggins. I loved his content. I love his content. Grant Cardone. You love him, hate him. The reason why I like him a lot is because he's very authentic, real, honest, whether what he says I agree with or I don't. Excuse me. But it was David Goggins, Grant Cardone, who else? I just started studying from other people who, again, are not only familiar with my path, but has gone through it. I wanted to acquire information from people who has either gone through a similar experience or a worse experience. Because until you can discover that somebody else has it worse, or somebody else can resonate and relate to you, then a shift begins to take place. My mission, my goal, I never made this publicly, is to disrupt the mental health industry. Because when you go through things, it's like, try this, not how to overcome this. There's a difference. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. And as always, remember, grow through what you go through. Much love.